Once upon a time, in the quiet suburban town of Maplewood, there lived a couple named Deb and Tom. They had been married for nearly a decade, a milestone marked by laughter, shared dreams, and occasional challenges. Deb was a stunning brunette with mesmerizing green eyes and an hourglass figure that turned heads wherever she went. Tom, her husband, was a successful businessman, devoted to his work and often busy with meetings, deadlines, and endless projects. While he loved Deb, his demanding career left little room for romance, and over time, Deb began to feel neglected. As weeks turned into months, Deb found herself feeling increasingly lonely in their home, a once vibrant space that now felt empty. Tom's long hours at work left her longing for attention and affection. She spent her days caring for their home, but at night, the silence of their bedroom echoed her solitude. It was during this vulnerable time that Deb began to visit their family doctor, Raymond. Raymond was a tall, dark, and handsome man in his early 40s. He had a charming smile and a way of making Deb feel special and valued, something she desperately needed in her life. Each time she visited his office, he greeted her with warmth and genuine interest, asking about her well-being. Deb felt seen, and as their interactions continued, she found herself looking forward to her appointments. One day during an examination, Raymond casually mentioned that he was going to a medical conference in Miami and invited Deb to join him. Flattered and excited, Deb hesitated but ultimately agreed, thinking it would be a chance to escape the monotony of her life and experience something new. As the date of the conference approached, her heart raced with anticipation and fear. In Miami, the atmosphere was charged with a sense of adventure. The bright sun and the sound of waves crashing against the shore created an intoxicating backdrop. Deb and Raymond shared a hotel room, ostensibly for convenience, but both were acutely aware of the unspoken tension building between them. One evening, after a long day of lectures and mingling, they found themselves alone in their room, a bottle of wine chilling in the corner. The conversation flowed easily, filled with laughter and lingering glances. Deb felt a thrill coursing through her veins as Raymond moved closer, their bodies inches apart. One thing led to another, and they ended up having passionate sex. Deb couldn't believe what she had done, but she couldn't deny the pleasure she felt. It was a release, a break from the suffocating loneliness she had endured for so long. As the days turned into weeks, Deb and Raymond continued their affair, meeting up in hotels and at Deb's house when Tom was away. They reveled in their secret, each encounter more passionate than the last. Deb's favorite position was doggy style. She loved how Raymond would enter her from behind, filling her completely. Their physical connection was electrifying, and Deb often found herself lost in ecstasy. "Fuck me harder, Raymond," she would moan, pushing back against him, desperate for more. "Yes, just like that." Raymond would oblige, his thrusts deep and relentless, their bodies moving in perfect harmony. He knew exactly how to touch her, how to play with her clit as he drove into her, pushing her closer and closer to the edge. Deb would come hard, screaming Raymond's name, the sheer intensity overwhelming her senses. Raymond would follow shortly after, filling her with a sense of completion that she had longed for. Their affair blossomed in secrecy, but with each passionate encounter, the weight of their betrayal grew heavier. Deb was living a double life, and although she felt exhilarated, the guilt began to gnaw at her. As the months passed, she often found herself staring at her reflection, questioning her choices. Yet, each time she saw Raymond, all doubts faded away, replaced by desire and excitement. However, the blissful facade couldn't last forever. Tom began to notice Deb's strange behavior. She was more distracted, often lost in thought, and occasionally caught up in half-hearted excuses for why she was late or unavailable. Concerned, Tom decided to take matters into his own hands. He hired a private investigator, determined to uncover the truth about his wife's recent changes. The investigator was thorough, tailing Deb for weeks until he finally caught her and Raymond in the act. The photographs showed the couple wrapped in each other's arms, blissfully unaware of the impending storm. Tom was devastated when he received the evidence. Heartbroken and feeling utterly betrayed, he realized that the love of his life had been living a lie. With a heavy heart, Tom confronted Deb. The conversation was tense and filled with raw emotion. He stood in their living room, a place that had once been a sanctuary, now turned into a battleground of broken trust. "Deb," he began, his voice trembling, "I know about you and Raymond." Deb's heart sank, and the air felt thick around her. She knew the truth was out, and she could no longer hide. "Tom, I don't," he interrupted, pain etched across his face. "Just don't. I saw the pictures. You betrayed me." The hurt in his voice cut through her like a knife. Tom's words were heavy, laden with disappointment and sorrow. "I'm so sorry," Deb pleaded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I never meant for this to happen. I was lonely, and Raymond, he made me feel alive again. I didn't want to hurt you." Tom shook his head, anguish evident in his eyes. "But you did. You destroyed everything we built together. I thought we were happy." "I thought so too," Deb sobbed. "But I felt neglected. I should have talked to you, but I didn't. I made a terrible mistake." Tom's heart was breaking. He had loved Deb fiercely, but the betrayal cut deep. He had trusted her, and now that trust lay shattered at their feet. "I can't do this," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I can't forgive you." Deb felt the weight of his words, a realization dawning on her. She knew she had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. "I'll leave," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "I'll pack my things and go." As Deb packed her bags, memories flooded her mind, moments of laughter, joy, and love. It all felt like a distant dream now. Each item she placed in her suitcase felt like a piece of her heart being taken away. She was leaving behind not just her home but the life she had once cherished. Tom stood silently, watching her. His heart ached, and he fought back tears as he realized how much he would miss her. But he also knew he couldn't live with the betrayal, the lingering doubt of her loyalty. Deb finally finished packing and stood before Tom, their eyes locking for a moment filled with unspoken words. "I wish I could take it all back," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Me too," Tom replied, his heart heavy with regret. With a final glance, Deb turned and walked out the door, leaving behind a once happy home now filled with silence. Tom was left alone, grappling with the aftermath of Deb's betrayal. He missed her, but knew he couldn't forgive her. The pain of her infidelity echoed through the empty halls, reminding him of what he had lost. He tried to move on, but it was difficult. Every corner of their home held memories that felt too vivid, too painful to bear. Days turned into weeks, and Tom poured himself into work, trying to distract himself from the ache in his heart. He reconnected with friends and family, but the laughter felt hollow. He often found himself staring at the empty side of the bed, wishing things could be different. Deb, on the other hand, was struggling with her choices. She moved into a small apartment and tried to rebuild her life, but she couldn't shake the regret that haunted her. Nights were the hardest, filled with memories of the warmth and love she had shared with Tom. The emptiness in her heart was overwhelming, and she wished she could take back every moment she had spent with Raymond. Yet, despite the pain, Deb learned valuable lessons about honesty and communication. She recognized her own flaws and the importance of addressing her feelings instead of seeking solace in another's arms. With time, she sought therapy, hoping to understand the choices she made and to heal from the emotional turmoil of the past. Months later, as winter melted into spring, Tom began to heal too. He found solace in new routines and discovered hobbies that brought him joy. He began to realize that while Deb's betrayal had shattered his heart, it had also opened the door for personal growth and self-discovery. Eventually, Tom learned to forgive, not for Deb, but for himself. He understood that holding on to anger and resentment would only hinder his ability to move forward. He began dating again, cautiously opening his heart to the possibility of love. Each new connection was a step towards healing, a reminder that life could still hold joy after heartbreak. As for Deb, she continued her journey of self-discovery, vowing to never again compromise her own needs or happiness. She hoped to find a partner who would value and appreciate her, but first, she needed to learn to love herself. In time, both Deb and Tom realized that life had a way of moving forward, even after the deepest betrayals. They grew individually, each finding a path that led to healing and growth.
If you've made it this far, you're officially part of something special. If this confession caught your heart or stirred your thoughts, there's so much more waiting for you. Don't miss out on the twists, the lessons, and the heart-to-hearts. Subscribe now, and let's continue this adventure together, because every story holds a truth waiting to be uncovered.